In a North London suburb, there is a football club called Tottenham Hotspur, owned by a company known as Enic, a team supported by passionate, loyal fans. To dare is to do is their motto, a motto that to this day remains as synonymous with the club as their white shirt and affinity for trophies in years ending in one. But what does it mean exactly? And is this club living up to its lofty premise? For nearly a century, it meant titles, trophies, glory. It meant doing everything in your power to be the very best in every position, in every game. In the words of one legendary manager, Paul Nicholson, it meant it is better to fail aiming high than to succeed aiming low. And we of Spurs have set our sights very high, so high in fact that even failure will have in it an echo of glory. With so many doubts over the last few years regarding the club's ownership, it was only a matter of time before a protest happened demanding club chairman Daniel Levy and Enic leave Tottenham Hotspur. Weeks into the summer transfer window, things have taken a familiar turn for Tottenham Hotspur. The North London club finds itself once more in its annual cycle of struggling to get rid of deadwood, of failing to solve long-standing issues, and of having to watch rivals already far ahead of them in their development strengthen in ways that Spurs can only dream of. It's hardly the show of ambition that fans have been waiting for. Many will view this with a sense of déjà vu. What is unfolding now has formed a blueprint for every window under many managers. Tottenham's notoriously risk-averse chairman quietly bides his time to wait and see which bargains might become available at the end of the summer. Somehow one of Europe's richest clubs is making a habit of pleading poverty. Whenever there's an opportunity to push on, strengthen, or even merely consolidate, the club is asleep at the wheel, lagging behind while finding all manner of reasons to decline the invitation. This, of course, according to Daniel Levy, is the only viable strategy.
Well, the way we see it, our ground, the old ground, we should never allow it to be knocked down, because now this has become, it's an arena. We've lost part of our soul. So NFL football, pop concerts, boxing, we know it's got to be paid for, but they're going to forget about us. And we feel NFL going to take over. Especially if the Yank owner comes along and buys it, I can see us becoming number two, not number one in this club. And you know, you talk about guys that have been Carlo away on a Tuesday night, you know, for a Epoxy Cup game in the fourth round. You know, they spent thousands of pounds. Anyway, Paul, take over.
Yeah, it's destroy that club. Get all this, build this beautiful stadium, beautiful facilities, but where's the money? Where's the money coming from it? If you know, you're going to have boxing matches in there, you're going to have NFL, generates money. Where's the money? No money gets put back into this club. This is what we want, someone who take over, who's going to put money back in this club. And we had two transfer windows where we didn't buy no one. It's disgraceful. We need a change. We need the Enic out, Levy out, get them all out of here.
I mean by treating ourselves like an actual big club. We're not a big club, just putting that out there. But when you've got the stadium and the facilities and all the talk, but you don't actually put your money where your mouth is, but put it into needless other things, that's when you've just seen a down spiral, because the league table speaks for itself. We've just been neglected. It's simple as. You know, from a squad that was so promising, a squad that was title contenders against Leicester and against Chelsea and consistent top four, that all fades away. And this chairman has got to be accountable for that. There is no way in spinning this to the fact that we didn't back Pochettino, and we just made a handful of signings to, you know, boost the hype up. But what about signing a centre-back? Look at Skriniar. Apparently we didn't need him. Well, look at him now. He's just won Serie A with Inter Milan. So that's what I mean by going downhill. It's just a laughing stock. It's a joke. And quite frankly, I'm I'm embarrassed that that's how our club is run.
What can Levy do to make up for his mistakes?
See, this is the thing. Mistakes can be mistakes, and I understand that, you know, when we were first like giving it a bit of a go for the title, it was like we were taking huge steps before actually taking the baby steps because we lacked that experience. But that's years ago now. There's no more excuses anymore. What Levy should have done is learn from those mistakes. And if it's just becoming a repeated thing where you're not backing managers, considering that you just sacked one before a cup final, and now appointed Ryan Mason, which, dare I say, Tim Sherwood is a better manager than Ryan Mason, and that's me saying that.
To be honest, I think it's just going to, you know, we need to make our voices heard, we need to put our foot on the ground, and I think that I don't know what it's going to achieve, but I think it's just the start. We need to keep going, we need to keep going, we need to keep putting pressure on this board. The message is Enic out, but I think what we need to achieve from this is reform from the board and change from the board.
You can already see that changes are starting. You know, the fan representation that happened in midweek was because of the pressure put on the fans on the board to make changes, and it was in theory a step in the right direction, but I do think that more changes need to be had, and more it needs to be clearer what these fan representations mean and how it's going to be implemented into the club.
If Levy was here, what would you both say to him?
I would say, come on man, you're running a football club, it's not just a business. Yes, I understand it's a business as well, but look, you've got a lot of people's livelihoods at stake here. You've got people that were in love with this place a long time before you joined this football club, a long time you got involved with this football club, and you've got to put what's on the pitch first. This is a football club before it's a business.
You can stick your Super League up your ass. You can stick your Super League. Stick your Super League. Stick your Super League up your ass.
One League Cup in 20 years is one of many problems to why we're all here and why I'm here. They've sucked the soul out of our club. It's been 2 really poor seasons in a row, and it's been the same cycle that we've been having to get served up, where they bring in a manager, he does okay, he doesn't get backed with the extra tools he needs, and then he goes. It's the same cycle repeat with obviously no trophies, and they've taken us down as a club as well, not forgetting the Super League. They tried to put us, that showed their full intentions. They tried to pretty much sell our soul, pretty much, without any indication with fans whatsoever. They waited only until last week to make an apology, and even that statement was just very PR corporate, nothing personal about it. And yeah, everyone's had enough, including myself, and we need change. And until we get change, until we can get the players in and back the managers, then unfortunately I don't think a lot's going to change. That's why we're all here, and we need to send a strong message to this board, because they're killing the club.
A lot of people call Daniel Levy a great businessman. That's not why I support Tottenham. I support Tottenham because of the football team, and I want to win trophies, and I just don't believe this shitty chairman, which is what he's proving to be, cares about the football team. He'll say he does. He'll say things like it's the lifeblood of the club, but Tim, he's just saying things to make us feel good. The reality is he sacks Mourinho before a cup final because he wanted to save some money, and he thought, I don't need a trophy because I'm going in the European Super League, which backfired on him. He had a chance to back Pochettino when it mattered. The last season at White Hart Lane, we could have bought players and gone on to win the league title, win Champions League. Not interested. Didn't back Redknapp when we were top or second in the league, and we could have won the Premier League potentially if he backed him. It's just a man that is not driven for ambition on the field of play. As long as we do just enough, maybe a top 4, enough income to keep the board happy and to keep his business interests happy, so the value of the club goes up, so maybe he sells it on. They're business people, they're not football people.
Go, I guess, really.
I think climb up to the top of the sky dare walk and then fling himself down onto the pitch shouting,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, splat. That's what should happen.
For some of us, it started with Martin Jol. So the way Martin Jol was sacked kind of gave you an insight into what kind of person that Daniel Levy was. So for some, it started there. For me personally, it started with Harry Redknapp. So when we were in a title challenge, we're 4 points off the top with City and United, and Harry asked for Tevez and Cahill to strengthen and and continue the title charge. We ended up getting Ryan Nelson, Louis Saha on a loan and a free transfer. So obviously we know how that season ended. We, as always, we kind of tailed off, and we ended up not get well. We got fourth, but obviously typical Spursy, Chelsea won the Champions League that season. And then the next one, Poch has been calling for a rebuild for how long? If you look at the net spend from the minute he got here to the Champions League final, it was zero. He got backed to the tune of 280 million. You look at the manager on the opposing team, Jurgen Klopp, he got backed 400 million in 4 seasons. And the thing that gets me is he bought 11 players with that 400 million. We bought 23 players with that 280 million. So that should tell you it's a case of, yes, recruitment is probably our biggest issue, but it's also spend.
There's nothing, I've got no hope in what Levy can actually do to fix this. He's not a magician. He is a good businessman, but like the previous person said, we're not here for that. We're here for football. And I don't care about a 60,000 seater stadium, considering that our 32,000 seater stadium was undefeated in its last ever season.
This is our chairman. He's a clown. He's not a man that is driven to win trophies. You look at Abramovich, you look at Sheikh Mansour. Yes, they spend ridiculous money, but then you look at Leicester City. They don't spend big money, and they've got a chairman that wants to build that environment, that culture that brings everyone together. Their recruitment is superb, absolutely fantastic, and they don't spend more than us. But they're geared towards wanting to become something great, and that club slowly. In fact, Leicester and Tottenham are very similar. I just think they're more ambitious on the field than what we are.
For years and years and years, we were told that Champions League football was meant to be for a reason, right? Yeah, the reason is not the reason that we're told. We were told countless times, we'll make Champions League football, we'll build this stadium, and we'll go out and buy the best players. One massive example of a transfer window where this is clearly an absolute lie and shows how much of an idiot Levy is, right, and how much he's sold lies to the whole football club and every one of its fans, is when Poch went back to the Champions League in his second season, we signed George Kevizinkudu, Musa Sissoko, Vincent Janssen and Paul Lopez. Are you telling me those are Champions League caliber players? No, they're not. So the whole point, it was a lie. Well, what's the point of making Champions League? The whole point is because they want their money in their pockets. That's the only reason. Because as soon as we make the Champions League, we don't push on. So they said we'll build a stadium, we spend more. Well, have we really? No, we haven't.
He can say all the empty words that he wants about how he's got ambition. I don't see it until you actually show somebody. Even with Jose, you can say he was backed the most that any manager's backed of recent times. But if you look at the players we actually acquired, how many of them were actually his? He was after Skriniar, he was after Ruben Diaz. We ended up getting Rodon for 12 million on deadline day. Again, like, all I want from Levy and Enic is for when they sack a manager, I don't want there to be any what ifs.
I want to see football. I want to see ambition. But we're not doing any of that. And the only ambitious thing Levy has done is try and get us to a Super League, which firstly, we don't even deserve to be there. And secondly, it just goes to show that he doesn't even care about the fans. It's about the finances that go into this club. And that's all it goes from there. It will not go past into making transfers, into making statement signings or whatnot. Levy is just a chairman that just simply lives still in the year 2005 with all this penny pinching.
Personally, what I think is there's only two things you can do to really hurt them where it matters, and that's with money, and that's with fans have got to stop. They've got to come together and stop buying merchandise. They've got to boycott games. For me as well, I would love to see home protests every home game next season. Try to stop the team bus coming in. I know I don't condone it, but it's what else is going to work. You've got to do extreme measures here to actually try and even send a message to them, because they don't care, because if people buy the tickets and stuff, they've got their money, they've got it, so they don't care.
If Enic do stay, then fair enough, as long as they change their ways. You know, we've been associated with about 50 different managers and 200 different players. No point, all irrelevant. Until that board's sorted, it's being attached to managers and players is all irrelevant, because there's no point in getting anyone in until we know what the board's identity or direction is. If they're going to spend money, if they're not, if they're going to bring through youth, if they're going to deal with bargain players, we need to know what's going on, and that's what we want. But want to say it as well.